You know, in the archives of science, there are some stories that just don't add up. Today, we are opening a scientific cold case, one that's over a century old, and hints at a totally hidden chapter of human history. This is the incredible story of the Giant of Castelnau.
And this really is the question that sits at the heart of this entire mystery. How does real, physical, scientifically documented evidence of an 11-foot-tall human being just disappear? It's a question that takes us from a dusty hillside in France all the way to the halls of one of the most prestigious scientific institutions in the world.
So to really get to the bottom of this, we're actually going to start at the end of the story. We're going to begin with the disappearance itself. Let's dive into part one of our investigation. A giant vanishes.
And here's the core of the problem, right here. In the late 1800s, the French Academy of Sciences, we're talking about a beacon of knowledge and preservation, was sent the bones of what was described as a colossal human. And today, they're gone. Just gone. No museum has them, no archive even lists them. It's almost like they were never there to begin with.
Okay, so to understand how something could just vanish, we have to go back to where it all started. Let's rewind the clock and see how this whole thing kicked off with the 1890 discovery. So picture this. It's the winter of 1890. We're at a Bronze Age burial mound in Castelnau-le-Lez, France. An anthropologist, a guy named Georges Vacher de la Pouge, is excavating, and he finds something that just stops him in his tracks. It's not a full skeleton, but 3 absolutely enormous bone fragments. And he believes they came from a single gigantic human. So the timeline is clear, the location is known, and the discoverer is a respected scientist. The story starts on very, very solid ground.
All right, now this is where things get really mind-bending. The evidence itself. Let's take a look at what made these bones so shocking. We're talking about bones of an impossible scale.
And this is absolutely crucial. This wasn't some tabloid story or local legend. De la Pouge's findings were published in a highly respected, peer-reviewed scientific journal of the time called La Nature. This gave the discovery incredible credibility. This wasn't just a story. This was documented proof for the entire scientific community to see. The numbers published in that journal article, they're just staggering. The femur, that's your thigh bone, had a diameter of 14 centimeters. Okay, to put that in perspective, an average adult male femur is less than 5 centimeters across. Just a fragment of the shin bone, the tibia, was 26 centimeters long. These aren't just big bones, they are on a completely different scale from any human known to science.
And de la Pouge himself, the expert in human anatomy who found them, he was absolutely certain. His conclusion was crystal clear. These are unquestionably human. Imagine that moment. He was staring at evidence that seemed to rewrite the very definition of what a human being could be.
So what does all that data actually mean? What kind of person do these bones belong to? Well, based on these fragments, the scientists at the time calculated an estimated height of 11 feet. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. That's 3.5 meters tall, taller than any verified human in all of modern history. We're talking about a being that would literally tower over us. And it wasn't just the height. The sheer thickness and density of these bones led the experts to calculate a body weight of several hundred kilograms. So this wasn't some tall, skinny individual. No, this was a true giant built on an absolutely colossal scale.
So we have a documented discovery. We have published measurements. We have a credible scientist. So where did it all go wrong? This brings us to the final, and honestly, the most chilling part of the story. And it's the question that still hangs in the air today. Was this all some kind of scientific cover-up?
Let's just trace the chain of custody here. Step 1, the bones are discovered by de la Pouge. Step 2, they get sent for analysis at the University of Montpellier, where other top scientists of the day actually verified them as belonging to a giant race. Step 3, they get sent for preservation to the most prestigious institution in the country, the French Academy of Sciences. And that's where the trail just goes cold. They vanished from the one place on Earth where they should have been the safest.
But wait, because the plot thickens. It turns out the Castelnau discovery wasn't a one-off. More giant remains, some from individuals reportedly 10 to 15 feet tall, were found in the same region. And guess where they were sent for verification? Yep, the French Academy of Sciences. And what happened to them? The exact same thing. They vanished too. So this isn't just one lost box of bones. This is starting to look like a pattern.
So what on earth happened? Well, we're really left with 2 competing theories. On the one hand, you have the mundane explanation.
It was a simple mistake. The bones were misfiled, lost in a dusty back room of a massive old institution. You know what? It's possible. But then there's the other, more sinister theory, a cover-up. The idea that this evidence of a giant human race, a discovery that would have completely upended our understanding of evolution, was deliberately hidden by the scientific establishment.
And that leads us to our final, lingering question. Are we just looking at a simple case of lost property, or is it something far more profound? Could the giant of Castelnau represent a lost chapter of human evolution, one that science, for whatever reason, just wasn't ready to acknowledge? The bones are gone, but the mystery is very much alive.